going live. Good evening, everybody on the plane. Hope y'all are well. Welcome to an impromptu live stream for some static plain truth. I will be your host this evening, John DeMorgile. I hope you do enjoy it. So let me just do some pre-flight checks before we get started, make sure that I'm actually coming in loud and clear before I start babbling off to nobody, right? Make sure that I'm actually... There we go. Sounds like we're loud. I don't know about clear. And yeah, give us some thumbs up in the chat if you can see and hear me. So we're gonna touch on a few current events, key things that have been, I guess you could say, on my mind here of late. Ah, shit, sorry. Of course that would happen, right? There we go. And if my internet does crap out here, just bear with me, because from time to time I've got to re-sign into the Wi-Fi. It'll just, on its own sort of volition, it will decide to just crap out. Hello, Eugene Prater. Hello, Chilling. Sound okay? Great. Sounds good. All right. So just jumping right into it, the first thing that I wanted to start talking about was an update on the whole NASA Bennu OSIRIS-REx asteroid nonsense. So of course, OSIRIS-REx is the mission to outer space, you know, to go and get samples from the asteroid Bennu. What's up, Phil Jones? So I got a couple articles that I'm going to read from, and we'll just kind of critique that stuff as we go. But you know, I think we all sort of, you know, if you're on this stream, we probably have a very similar opinion about, you know, everything outer space and asteroids and all that, and NASA in general, right? So it's all pretty much Narnia. It's like it's nonsense, right? And so when we know that going in, it's really hard to even read through the crap that they spew out there about it. But I think we still kind of do have a responsibility to see where our tax dollars are going, right? Because still to this very day, we talk about taxation without representation, but to this very day, we still have just billions and billions of dollars going to NASA. Not to mention wars and stuff like that. Like I don't know too many Americans, unless they've got heavy investments in the war machine. I don't know too many Americans who are like interested in spending their tax dollars on wars. But that's, you know, lo and behold, year after year, that's where our tax dollars tend to go. Yeah, NASA lies, says 60 million a day. So I know it was 52 million a day for a while, but you know how federal budgets are. They just keep going up and up and up, of course. So like, you know, it's hard to be NASA. It's hard to be NASA. And so if you give them $50 million a day for years and years, sooner or later, that just ain't enough. That's baseline, dude. That's barely nominal. So yeah, you've got to start giving them $60 million a day. And, you know, believe it or not, that sort of thing actually does begin to add up a little bit over time. I mean, I know it's hard to believe. But $52 million a day adds up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No, $52 million a day ain't fucking enough, because it's hard to be NASA. So really what they need is they need more along the lines of $60 million a day, right? Because it is so very important that we, you know, we pay our lying Freemasons to pretend to fly around in space and pretend to send satellites or whatever out to asteroids and collect samples, because that's so important, right? Like, how will we ever figure out the secrets to the universe without wasting our money just basically shoveling it into the bottomless pit that is black budget things and the lying Freemasons of NASA, right? So coming straight from the horse's mouth, we're gonna go through an article here, www.nasa.gov, news-release. NASA's Bennu asteroid sample contains carbon and water. Well, of course it does, right? Because carbon and water, those are the building blocks of life. And so we already know that that since, I guess, wasn't it Werner von Braun that said, once all of the other hoaxes are done, the last one's going to be the alien hoax, where they're gonna hit us with like a fake alien invasion. So of course the asteroid Bennu sample contains carbon and water, because next thing they're going to tell you that there's single-celled organisms in it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up finding little fossilized amoebas in there, right? Because, well, let's face it, when it comes to abiogenesis, like the origin of life stuff, these guys really don't have anywhere to go. Like it's pretty obvious that intelligent, or even just any kind of life in general, even very simplex single-celled life, can't just manifest from the ether on its own out of the chaos from sheer chance, right? They want us to believe that over billions of years in the primordial ooze of early planet Earth, the conditions were just right and lightning struck and the planets were aligned just perfectly so as to create the first simplex forms of life. And so, hold on, let me get this dog here. Come here, Lily. Quit clacking your feet around. Okay. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, so like, of course they're gonna find, water and carbon in the asteroid Bennu right off the bat. So looking at this article right out the gate, I mean, they start laying it on very thick indeed. So quoting from NASA.gov here, it says, initial studies of the 4.5 billion-year-old asteroid Bennu sample collected in space and brought to Earth by NASA. By the way, NASA means to deceive, or Nashah means to deceive in ancient Hebrew. But yeah, these samples show evidence of high carbon content in water, which together could indicate the building blocks of life on Earth may be found in the rock. Right, so I guess where I was going with that whole thing was that they can't explain how early Earth, like prebiotic early Earth, could have possibly created the organic chemistry just out of sheer chance in order to develop even things like sugars and amino acids, let alone complex codices like DNA. And so they have the whole theory of like transpermia, right? So, oh, well, it happened on some other planet off in space. And so that ties into that nicely, but let's not go right past that first sentence, okay? Because before they've even studied the damn thing, so basically all we know is, well, it's dirt and it's got water and carbon in it. That's all we know about it. But they also know automatically right off the gate that it's 4.5 billion years old, right? They know that. They didn't even have to look at it. They knew that before they even came back with the samples. So, I mean, honestly, like what kind of science is that, right? I mean, they've got their model. They've got their model where the asteroid belt is, is what that is. We won't get into that, right? But yeah, of course, the asteroid Bennu is 4.5 billion years old. And how old did they? Come on, boo-boo. How old did they claim the Earth itself is? Do they say that the Earth is 4 billion? Let's see. How old is spherical planet Earth? Oh no, maybe I shouldn't put spherical. We'll just do planet Earth. Oh, 4.543 billion years. Okay, so yeah, so Earth, they say, is 4.543 billion years old, and asteroid Bennu is 4.5 billion years old. So I guess what they're saying is, what we should sort of deduce from that is that there could have been life on other planets way before Earth even existed. And so it's not really that big of a mystery why we have life on Earth, because, we've got rocks flying through space for billions of years that has the building blocks for life, or maybe even little microbial things in it. And so, of course, we all came from a space rock. And you know, if you look at the shtick of evolution, it's just so counterintuitive, so nonsensical. They actually claim with a straight face and brand it with the term science, so it must be true, right? But they claim with a straight face that both flora and fauna, so plant and animal life, has a common ancestor, right? That's what they claim. So what they're basically saying is that we're all cousins to one another. We're all cousins to apes. We're all cousins to hummingbirds. And not to mention, we're all cousins to pickles. And we're all cousins to acorns and alfalfa sprouts. Everything, all life is related because we all have this common ancestor. And you know, so you've got, like, I don't know if you guys follow Dr. James Tour out of Rice University. He's a biochemist. He's a chemist. I don't know. I don't want to say he's a biochemist, but he does a lot of. He actually did a debate with Professor Dave Farino, and that thing was brutal. But Dave was shilling the whole time. He doesn't know really you can tell he doesn't know the first thing about chemistry. But he pushed Dr. Tour's button to the point where he got the dude screaming and yelling on stage because, I mean, that's just how they do. That's how the shills do. They won't actually debate you on the facts. What they do is they push your buttons to get reactions out of you so that you end up ripping your hair out, screaming at them, you know, wanting to cuss them out. But where was I going with that? So the whole thing is prebiotic Earth, that there isn't enough time in this, even in the billions of years that they claim prebiotic Earth was just stewing as this primordial ooze, eventually randomly creating the first forms of life. But so what could be gleaned from this Bennu sample is that, yeah, it's transpermia. So life didn't originate here, dum-dum. Couldn't have. It came from outer space. Life came from outer space, right? And, you know, of course, we know that's ridiculous because, well, outer space requires the concept of spinning ball Earth, right? And so, you know, if the Earth doesn't have curvature, and if the Earth doesn't spin around and there's no evidence for all the motion that's necessary for the standard ball Earth model, then infinite space and the asteroid belt and all the other terra firma planets goes right out the window, from the gate. And so there is no such thing as the asteroid belt as they claim. Sure, we do see things like meteor showers and we've got shooting stars, but I've never seen any direct evidence that those are rocks flying through space. What I believe that's more likely is going to be the lighter than air gases like, you know, helium and hydrogen and nitrogen that find their way up above the troposphere, naturally defying the law of gravity, right? So it's not like gas goes down, goes boom, boom. Gas inherently defies the law of gravity. And so I believe that we have a conglomeration of these lighter than air gases at super high altitudes that at some point will condense and maybe even crystallize and eventually precipitate. So like rain or hail or snow of these crystalline lighter than air gases that when they come in contact with the oxygen rich atmosphere or atmosplane, if you will, they will ignite sometimes, right? And I believe that makes a lot more sense than, rocks falling from the sky and igniting when they hit the air. I've never seen any evidence of, if you accelerate a rock fast enough through the air that it lights up like a match and catches fire. I mean, to me, that's rather absurd. But if it's something like, if it's got nitrogen and other lighter than air gases in a crystalline structure, at the velocity that they're falling through the sky and then hit the oxygen-rich troposphere, Sure, that sort of thing actually makes some degree of sense to me, that it would ignite and burn up. Because, I mean, let's face it, you've got, I want to say Crater Lake, but you've got, even in the United States, you've got these big craters that are attributed to like meteors, right? So it's supposed to be a crater from a meteor, but more and more, like, the evidence suggests that those are actually like underground bubblings up of gases and stuff like that. And so wherever you find these alleged asteroid strikes in these craters that are attributed to meteors, you never actually find the meteor that was supposedly left that hole, right? And that actually makes a lot of sense if it is lighter than air gases that crystallized and then condensed and precipitated back down. Of course, any trace of the meteor would just evaporate back up to the to the higher levels up there. So that makes a lot of sense. But of course, NASA, in all their wisdom, they knew they didn't even have to look at the damn thing, didn't even have to wait for it to come back. They knew that the asteroid was 4.5 billion years old. So that is like, I don't know if they checked their tarot cards for that. I don't know if, like, where they're getting that. And I guess it's because the whole thing with the asteroid belt being that old, that's like part of their model. And their model is carved in stone. And so, yeah, they just knew that it was 4.5 billion years old going in. Didn't even have to look at it. So, yeah, it's full of high carbon content and water, which together could indicate the building blocks of life. And NASA, again, quoting from the article here, NASA made the news Wednesday from its Johnson Space Center in Houston, where leadership and scientists showed off the asteroid material for the first time since it landed in September. Question the answer says they were thinking earlier how when they try to say a comet started life on Earth and then an asteroid will destroy it. Right, yeah, of course, because we all know how explosions are constructive, right? I mean, that doesn't violate any laws of, say, like entropy or even just basic logical things. Yeah, life comes from explosions. Structure, the entire structure of the universe comes from a giant explosion called the Big Bang. Everybody knows that, right? It makes perfect sense. Rune Dragon says, NASA never gives me an answer to the question, how does a weak-powered EMF transmission from Earth make it through the Van Allen belt's deadly high electromagnetic field to any craft supposed to be millions of miles away? Yeah, indeed. Anybody who studies how radio frequency waves work will tell you that over long distances, you've got path laws. You've got basically entropy, or like the path loss of radio frequencies makes it really difficult, especially over very, very long distances. And then when you've got stuff in the way, like the atmos plane of the Earth, or like the ionized plasma tubes in the lower Magnetus plane, or like the Van Allen belts, as the commenter said, yeah, how is it that they're communicating with these satellites even tens of thousands of miles away? Yeah, it's absurd. But so it says, yeah, so NASA made the news Wednesday from its Johnson Space Center in Houston, where leadership and scientists showed off the asteroid material for the first time since it landed in September. And they've got a picture of it. I mean, I guess what I can do is I'll just turn this around and show y'all the picture of what they're claiming is space dust. Sorry if it's aggravating. I can't see what I'm showing you, so hopefully y'all are getting it. But it looks like a bunch of dirt is what it looks like. And of course, we're supposed to take that as evidence that, NASA sent their little OSIRIS-REx craft, which, of course, Osiris was the Egyptian god of the underworld. Rex means king. So it's like the undead king went and got the space dust so that, we could confirm that life came from outer space. Of course, makes perfect sense. Back to the quote. This finding was part of a preliminary assessment of NASA's OSIRIS-REx. And again, we do have to tell you what the OSIRIS-REx anagram stands for, because they got a couple guys at NASA that get paid like $500,000 a year just to come up with neat anagrams, and he really earned his paycheck on this one. So what it means is origins, spectral interpretation, resource identification, and security regolith explorer science team. That's right, OSIRIS-REx. Say that shit 10 times fast. Origin, spectral interpretation, resource identification, and security regolith explorer science team. I mean, it's hard to be NASA, dude. It is. It's hard to be NASA. So they have to really, they got to make sure that that's conveyed in every name of every mission that they do. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we're going to go back to the quote. And it seems like we're actually quoting NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. He says, quote, "The OSIRIS-REx sample is the biggest carbon-rich asteroid sample I've ever delivered to the Earth and will help scientists or lientists investigate the origins of life on our own planet for generations to come." Yeah, well, isn't that funny that, because honestly, I haven't even read this article yet, but isn't it funny that they're quoting Bill Nelson talking about origins of life? So basically, it seems to me like they've pretty much already decided that, this is an origin of life thing, because really they've painted themselves into a corner with a lot. If you follow the origin of life debate, the atheists they're screwed. Like, there is totally a boneheaded, like their entire position is boneheaded. And of course, so what they do is just like the Globetards do, they always double down on their lies, right? So they will never admit when they're clearly wrong. They never admit when all of the evidence is totally against them. Well, because all the science books agree with them. You know what I mean? So they'll never admit that they're wrong. So they're constantly doubling down on the bullshit. And what that means is ultimately they paint themselves into a corner. They've got nowhere to go but to double down on all their freaking lies, right? But it appears that Bill Nelson, NASA administrator, has already decided that even though they just got this damn thing like a couple of weeks ago, I don't even think it's been 3 weeks, and they've decided that it's 4.5 billion years old and potentially is the origin of all life. So, we're not cousins with an Earth rock in the primordial soup. We're cousins with a space rock and pickles and sour cream and all the rest, right? More or less, we're cousins with all tacos, is what they're saying. Religion of Gravity says, "Looking well, Morgan." Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Much appreciated. Heavy comments section here, guys. And for some reason, it always gives me grief trying to look at it. Not easy being cheesy. Yeah, indeed. Oh, I must have subliminally picked up the cheesy part because I had cheese on the brain too. Okay, so continuing on with the quote. Origin of life. So he says, this is still Bill Nelson quote, "Almost everything we do at NASA seeks to answer questions about who we are and where we come from." Well, it makes sense then. You want to fly around in space and dig up dirt, because if you're trying to find out who you came from, then you're definitely going to want space rocks and dirt, because Bill Nelson, NASA administrator, is a flighty dirtbag. Okay. So NASA missions like OSIRIS-REx will improve our understanding of asteroids that could threaten Earth while giving us a glimpse into what lies beyond. Well, okay, so yeah, you gotta take them as they come, man. Some asteroids create life on Earth, some asteroids destroy life on Earth. So it would be, the full circle of life coming back around to, coming back around for the old musical chairs, right? The sample has made it back to Earth, but there is still so much science to come. Science like we've never seen before, end quote from Bill Nelson, NASA administrator. So let's back up the wagon. Science is merely establishing cause and effect relationships for naturally occurring phenomenon, right? So the first step in the scientific method is observe a naturally occurring phenomenon, and then you sort of make hypothesis, do experiment, which is hypothesis test. You either confirm your hypothesis or confirm your null and move on. But dirt, I'm sorry, but dirt picked up from space by the lying Freemasons who, I'm here to tell you guys, people can't go to space. Whisper, whisper, just so you know. But you can't, like, dirt is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. So where's your independent, or where's your dependent variable there, right? So it's like dirt, therefore what? Like, oh, dirt, therefore 4.5 billion years old. Dirt, therefore carbon and water, therefore life came from space. So, but that is telling that they're saying here, just in the first couple paragraphs, that they're mentioning origin of life. They're mentioning carbon and water, which of course carbon and water are the primary building blocks of life, right? So if you were to like take a human being and put him in a blender and hit puree, and then put that shit under a mass spectrometer, you're gonna find mostly carbon and water, right? So therefore you're cousins with a rock, obviously. I don't think so. I mean, sure, we have the same building blocks within us, but me personally, I think that the evidence for the divine creator of all things is everywhere. Like, you've really got to be blind and brainwashed to not see it. Just the simple things like DNA code are far too complex to have been, manifest from chance chaos in the primordial ooze, as they claim. It's just, you have to have an intelligent designer or a coder to wind up with code, right? Like if you were to stumble upon a laptop in the middle of the desert, so you're wandering around in the desert and you trip on a laptop in the middle of the desert, and you open it up and hit the button and it powers on. And then not only does it power on and start running scripts and running programs, but then somehow it also starts to self-replicate and creates a bunch of other laptops that are also seem to function perfectly well and power themselves somehow. And would you think that laptop just sort of appeared from the ether on its own volition? Like, would you assume that it sprang forth from, from a lily pad or something? Like, no, obviously, the fact that this technology exists is a testament to the high technology that was used to create it. And so similarly, life, even the most simplex forms of life, so we'll say like single-celled organisms, are extremely complex. Have you ever seen what's going on inside of a cell? It's like a little factory. It's super complex, right? It's got lots of moving parts. It's got DNA. It's smart, although it doesn't have a brain. It's a master chemist. Like, cells are spectacular. It's really quite amazing. But to assume that life spontaneously came about on its own volition from nothing is just absurd. Like, it really is ridiculous. And furthermore, evolution is also similarly very ridiculous, in my opinion. So long and short of it is, the proof of God, if you really want proof of God, pinch yourself, damn it, because the fact that we exist and we're here talking, having this conversation, is proof that there is a divine, supernatural, intelligent creator, right? And anybody who doesn't believe that is deluded. They're fooling themselves, and sorry to say, they're most likely going to be a globetard. No offense to the globetards who may be out there watching. But I think that is really one of the main reasons that they hit us with the globe earth indoctrination at such a young age, is because, well, if you can convince people of that, dude, you can convince them of pretty much freaking anything, right? So, furthermore, if you study things like public relations, subliminal programming, mass mind control, advertising, you know, a good umbrella term for all that would be advertising. You'll find that if you can confound a person or a group of people's core belief system, then you've essentially primed them to be in a perfect position for mind control. And so essentially, whatever comes over the idiot box, whatever comes over the TV and is purported by news anchors, you know, asserted by figures of authority, people just freaking believe it. And you know, it's easy to think of them as sort of enemies because they hate our guts, right? Like if they realize that you're a flerfer, they automatically think you're stupid and they hate you. But I mean, we got to remember we were all there at one point, right? So anyways, going back to the quote, it says, so he says, we're going to science like we've never scienced before on this one. Wow. So although more work is needed to understand the nature of the carbon compounds found, well, no, you don't say. I thought they just freaking knew everything the instant the thing landed. I mean, they knew how old it was, right? They started the conversation about origin of life before the thing even landed. But anyway, so they're saying more work is needed to understand the nature of the carbon compounds found. The initial discovery bodes well for future analyses of the asteroid sample. Well, you don't say. So I guess you could say in NASA terms, it's nominal. The secrets held within the rocks and dust from the asteroid will be studied for decades to come. But why? I mean, I thought they already knew everything. Offering insights into how our solar system was formed, how the precursor materials to life may have been seeded on Earth, and what precautions need to be taken to avoid asteroid collisions with our home planet. They can tell all that from dirt. They can tell all that from dirt? Like how? Like I don't understand. Like, and I know, they've got all kinds of super expensive scientifical gadgets, and they're doing lots of experiments that aren't really experiments, and so they freaking know everything. But like, how do they know all this already from some dirt? That's just, it's absolutely crazy. It's nonsense in my opinion, but okay. Precursor materials of life may have been seeded on Earth. So not only can they tell how to avoid asteroid collisions from a little pile of dirt, they can also tell how life may have been seeded, intelligent transpermia, from some dirt, and also the precursor materials or how the solar system was formed from a little pile of dirt. Wow, dude. Wow. Oh, and then we've got bonus sample material. So it says the goal of the King Osiris, king of the Egyptian undead, sample collection was 60 grams of asteroid material. 60 grams. I wonder how much that is street value. Curation experts at NASA Johnson, working in a new clean rooms built especially for the mission. Oh, I wonder how many billions of dollars that cost. So let's see. I am curious to know how much our tax dollars went into building these new clean rooms for NASA. So let's see if I can figure that out with a quick search. Price tag for clean rooms built especially for Osiris Rex sample. Oh, and you know what? It linked me right to this article. So, and wouldn't it be funny if this is the first article ever mentioning this new clean room that they built, especially for the mission? But yeah, anyway, I'm not seeing a price tag on that clean room. We can see how much did Osiris Rex cost. So they say Osiris Rex cost 1.16 billion. Just a drop in the bucket when it comes to NASA's annual budget, so it's really not nothing. It says 588.5 million, so over $500 million, was spent on spacecraft development because they didn't get it right the first 5 million times they did it, even though they claimed that they sent spacecrafts all the way to frickin' Jupiter back in the 1970s with the likes of Pioneer 10, which I've done videos on and was an absolute farce, a bunch of damn nonsense. But they had to figure out how to do it again. So they had to research and develop new technologies to do some shit they claim that they've done a bunch of times already. 183.5 million on its launch vehicle. 9 years of prime mission operations are expected to cost $283 million. So they don't even mention here in this breakdown what they spent on building this brand new clean room just for this asteroid. But, you know, part of me kind of has this sneaking suspicion, well, you know, since space doesn't actually exist and NASA is a pack of damn liars, that perhaps, just perhaps, NASA might actually not be spending that kind of money on things like clean rooms. I'm just saying, might be the case. So they say these clean rooms built especially for the missions have spent 10 days so far carefully disassembling the sample return hardware to obtain a glimpse at the bulk sample within. When the science canister lid, that's so funny. They call it a science canister lid. That's so freaking stupid, dude. I'm sorry, but they're like, where's my acronym guy, dude? Like, he's slipping. Science canister lid? That doesn't work. We're gonna have to fire whoever came up with that name and get our regular acronym guy. I mean, he's got to earn a paycheck somehow. It's hard to be NASA, I'm telling you. Okay, so when the science canister lid, the SCL, was first opened, scientists discovered bonus asteroid material covering the outside of the collector head, canister lid, and the base. Wow, bonus asteroid material. What do you know? There was so much extra material, it slowed down the careful process of collecting and containing the primary sample. What, dude? That's so stupid. So you're telling me that thing fell through the sky and like re-entered the atmosphere plane at freaking thousands of miles an hour and the dust stuck to the outside edge of the science canister? Dude, that's so stupid. Like, and people believe this crap, man. Oh my God. So the fact that they got bonus material from the asteroid was just, it was a big hassle. Yeah. So we're going to quote Vanessa Weech, director of NASA's Johnson. Yeah, I bet she directs some Johnson. She says, quote, "Our labs were ready for whatever Bennu had in store for us," said Vanessa Weech, director of NASA's Johnson. "We've had scientists and engineers working side by side for years to develop specialized glove boxes, whatever, and tools." I bet she developed some tools to keep the asteroid material pristine and curate the samples so researchers now and decades from now can study this precious gift from the cosmos. You mean a pile of dirt that NASA like scooped out of probably a toilet somewhere? Like it's the sludge from the bottom of a frickin' porta-john, in my humble opinion. Or at least you can tell more about the origins of life from the bottom of a frickin' porta-john than you can from this nonsense that definitely didn't come from space, because damn it, space doesn't exist. FFS. So end quote. Oh, there was end quote before that. She didn't say all that, but you get the picture. Within the first 2 weeks, scientists performed quick look analyses. Yeah, really, they need to fire whoever's coming up with their acronyms these days, man. He sucks, dude. He sucks. Quick look analyses of that initial material, collecting images from a scanning electron microscope, infrared measurements, X-ray diffraction, and chemical element analysis. X-ray computed tomography was also used to produce a 3D computer model of one of the particles, highlighting its diverse interior. This early glimpse provided the evidence of abundant carbon and water in the sample. Well, of course it did. because now they're going to tell us that we're all cousins to freaking ET and potatoes and lizards and birds and little butt mud over there too, of course. So let's quote Dante Loretta. He says, quote, "As we peer into the ancient secrets preserved within the dust and rocks of asteroid Bennu, we are unlocking a time capsule that offers us profound insights into the origins of our solar system," said Dante Loretta Osiris Rex, principal investigator, University of Arizona, Tucson. And, you know, here's the thing, man. I totally believe that these characters, you know, they actually believe what they're saying. You know, they were all definitely indoctrinated into the cult of Baal, into the cult of scientism, since they were just gullible little kids too. And of course, they've made a very comfortable living off of this sort of science, in air quotes. And so, of course, like they're not lying. They actually totally believe this nonsense, and they've got no reason not to believe it. I mean, really, why would the government, in all of their wisdom, dump billions of dollars into something that wasn't real? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why would they ever do such a thing? I mean, could it be Satan? Could it be mind control? Could it be $60 million a day? Could it be they want us all convinced that we're cousins with the frickin' pickle? I mean, I think that may have something to do with it. He goes back, continues the quote, "The bounty of carbon-rich material and the abundant presence of water-bearing clay minerals are just the tip of the cosmic iceberg." Water-bearing clay minerals. Like clay, and I'm sorry, but like, let me just see, like, what is clay made of? I mean, I'm no geologist, but hold on. What is clay made of?
Pottery. The pottery out of it.
Oh my God. So they're talking about silica, alumina, or magnesia, or both, and water. But iron substitutes for aluminum and magnesium in varying degrees, and appreciable quantities of potassium, sodium, and calcium are frequently present as well. So what are they talking about? Like clay minerals in an asteroid? I don't know, man. It just seems to me this is just absolute nonsense. Silica is on Mercury. Well, okay, I hate to say this, brother, whoever left that comment, I can't see, Thomas Jefferson. Mercury, dude, is a light in the sky, brother. Mercury is not it's not a terra firma planet that we can travel to potentially. It's a wandering star. It's up in the firmament. It's a light in the sky. And so for you to say that Mercury has Mercury has silica on it, and who told you that? NASA? Okay, look, man. Venus and Mercury, first of all, in the inner solar system, watch some of my videos about that. They are not, like, the heliocentric model doesn't work. Like, we observe fully lit Venus, for example, way after sunset, which is geometrically impossible according to the very geometry of the standard model. And so for people to claim that Mercury has whatever on it is just, it's absurd. Anyways. Continuing with the quote, "These clay minerals are just the tip of the cosmic iceberg. These discoveries, made possible through years of dedicated collaboration and cutting-edge science, propel us on a journey to understand not only our celestial neighborhood, but also the potential for life's beginnings." That's like the 5th time they've mentioned origin of life. So that's definitely where they're going with this nonsense, is they want us to believe that we're all freaking space aliens, dude. That's where they're going with it. "With each revelation from Bennu, we draw closer to unraveling the mysteries of our cosmic heritage." And, you know, the thing is, because of the fact that they can't, scientists in air quotes, scientists have been trying to replicate origin of life conditions on prebiotic Earth for a long time. They've been trying their damnedest to replicate like origin of life stuff. And for all their trying and all their posturing and chest beating, they can't create a single cell from scratch, and they can't create a single seed from scratch. Nothing. So basically, they're going to kick the can down the road by saying, well, it didn't happen on prebiotic Earth. No, it happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Because see, they've already learned with NASA, once they shelve this nonsense into the realm that is totally non-demonstrable, totally non-falsifiable, so they shelve it up in freaking infinite space, they're scot-free. They can make entire careers off of that nonsense for generations, and nobody has the capability to refute any of their claims because it is beyond the ability for people to falsify. They love that shit, man. That's how they thrive on it. Now, of course, that isn't science. You can't call that science. Science is, by definition, demonstrable and falsifiable and all of that. And so it's just the gall of these people. But again, I don't think that they're even necessarily being intentionally deceptive. They've drank the damn Kool-Aid, bro. Oh man, celestial neighborhood, but also the potential for life's beginnings. With each revelation from Bennu, we draw closer to unraveling the mysteries of our cosmic heritage. Yeah, they're laying it on thick. I'm telling you, man, within the next 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if they tell us that we're all cousins to frickin' E.T. and Pickles and everything else. I mean, they already tell us that we're cousins to Pickles, but now we're also going to be cousins to E.T. Okay. So end quote. For the next 2 years, the mission's science team will continue characterizing, I would say caricaturing, but continue characterizing the samples and conduct the analysis needed to meet the mission's science goals. And what are their mission science goals, I wonder? It says NASA will preserve at least 70% of the sample at Johnson. And I think they probably named that one right. Johnson is fitting because they're a bunch of bite my lip. Sample at Johnson for further research by lientists worldwide, including future generations of lientists. As part of OSIRIS-REx's science program, a cohort of more than 200 lientists around the world will explore the regolith's properties, including researchers from many U.S. institutions, NASA partners, JAXA, CSA, the Canadians, and other scientists from around the world. So I wonder what the odds of a bloke like me getting my hands on some of that space dust will be. And I wonder if Drunkle Buzz will start selling it. And I wonder if it will turn out to be like, petrified wood that he was selling before and got caught, right? Or wasn't it like, I think the United States government got caught red-handing giving out moon rocks to like some foreign country. I forget who it was. But yeah, they were giving out moon rocks to foreign countries, to dignitaries as high-priced gifts. And it turned out that the moon rocks were actually just, it was just freaking petrified wood. So it's hard to be NASA, man. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, right, NASA? Right. NASA's Goddard, wait, did I skip something? Yeah, Canadian agency. Additional samples will also be loaned later this fall to the Smithsonian Institution. Well, why the hell they want to do that? Smithsonian Institution are the ones that like bury, cover up the giant skulls and stuff, right? Smithsonian Institution, Space Center Houston, and the University of Arizona for public display. Wow, dude, wow. NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, provides overall mission management, systems and engineering, and the safety and mission assurance for OSIRIS-REx. Loretta, the principal investigator, leads the science team and the mission's science observation planning and data processing. I mean, dude, like just because someone says the word science over and over and has like science in their titles doesn't mean that they're actually doing science. I'm sorry to say, like, what they're doing isn't science. You have to have naturally observed phenomenon in order to create hypothesis and then experiments in order to test the hypothesis in order to technically be doing science. Sure, you can say that you're doing research. You can say that you're doing activities. You can say that you're doing all sorts of things, but you can't say you're doing science. You're stealing the valor of actual science because, damn it, science proves things. And by saying the word science, like the gullible public just sort of automatically thinks that these things are proved. Present company excluded, of course. NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland provides overall mission management. So we're down to Loretta, principal investigator. Okay, so Lockheed Martin Space, Littleton, Colorado, built the spacecraft, allegedly, provided flight operations, and was responsible for capsule recovery. Yeah, I bet they did. And of course, isn't Lockheed Martin famous for like weapons of war? Like, don't they do mainly weapons? Isn't that one of their main things? I want to say Lockheed does like the Boeing 7, like the Boeing stuff too. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But so, of course, you know, we just got to dump more taxpayer dollars to Lockheed Martin to fake space and pretend to collect samples from the asteroids, right? OSIRIS-REx is the third mission in NASA's New Frontier program, managed by NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, for the Science Mission Directorate at NASA headquarters in Washington. So that's the end of that first article there. Anyone who says that NASA is out of the game and now they've passed the baton on to SpaceX, you know, read them and weep, man. NASA ain't going anywhere. NASA is a very lucrative and successful money laundering application that's been going on since the 60s. They're not going to stop it. Actually, I think since the 50s. Really since the late 40s, since Operation Paperclip, I believe is when NASA started, was right around the time the United States government brought in Nazi scientists from after the World War II. That's when I think it was NADA or NACA became NASA, and they've been faking space and lying about this crap ever since. Like, they never missed a beat, and they never had a year where they didn't get more money than last year, right? So it's hard to be NASA, let me tell you. Let's see here. So that's the end of that article, and that pretty much covers the stuff on Bennu that we were going to talk about. So give us a thumbs up. There's 45 in the live stream and only 27 thumbs there. So let's get some thumbs up if y'all are liking it so far. And we're going to switch gears just a little bit because here lately, man, I'm just talking to more and more people that are getting just beat down by this world. I've got some friends all over the damn place from coast to coast. And there's people all over the damn place that are really struggling and really uncertain about the future. Not least of which is going to be the people over in Palestine. And let's not forget about Ukraine. And let's not forget about Lahaina, right? The wildfires, in air quotes, over there in Hawaii. Shit's going down, man. But so like just a couple of examples, and we'll get to some of that stuff. But so I've got a friend over in Utah that is facing an eviction. Just got a month or two behind on her rent, and just got an eviction notice, I think, yesterday. That's a tough thing to deal with because, you know, if things go wrong, she's going to be in the street, and that's like nobody wants to deal with that. Another friend of mine over in California kind of lost his ass after the 2008 housing thing and had some medical problems that really lost his ass. And now he's having to deal with probably going to be on the street as well. And I think one of the big reasons that we flat earthers have so much trouble in the world is because, I mean, let's face it, we're pariahs. Like usually our friends that we grew up with and our families that we love, in some cases, I wouldn't know much about that, but our friends and family that we know and love have basically blackballed us. We're the black sheep, we're the pariahs, we're the crazy freaking flerfers, and it makes it hard for them to relate to us. They don't want to really have anything to do with us. Relationships end up falling apart over flat Earth. Family ties end up getting severed because of flat Earth. But you know, the sad part of it is it happens to be true. And the reason that we're so vocal about it is because we actually give a damn about the people that hate our fucking guts so much, right? And so, like, when our own families and friends disown us, and people that we've known for years hate our guts because of our beliefs, and it's become basically impossible to like make a living on YouTube if you espouse these beliefs. The cards, the deck is stacked against us, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so what I think, and let me know what y'all think about this, but I think that we as flerfers, we really need to come together, man. We need to start looking out for one another. And I think that I think we could really take a lesson from the Vatos, from the Mexicans, from the Cholos that are here in the States heavily. And it's funny because I've sort of had this conversation over text with a couple of people lately, but first of all, I'm not a racist person. I love the Vatos, love the Mexicans. And I think we can really take a lesson from them. The way they do it is they oftentimes they'll live 10 or 15 people strong in a like 3 or 4 bedroom house, right? At least temporarily, and they face every day as a team. So most of them will work. Some of them will take care of the niños, like the children and the house. But they pool their resources. They like once a month they'll put in on big ticket items, like, you know, 1 month they'll buy a car for Pedro, and then the next month they'll maybe put a new transmission in Juan's car, right? So like, if they have an emergency, if they have a financial emergency, it's not a big deal because they are a cohesive unit. Like, and it's pretty amazing. Like, especially, you know, growing up as an American, it's pretty rare for a lot of people that I know to even get along and cooperate with their immediate family. And like, sure, you know, you can have people that are your friends, but like, it's not like we are facing every day as a team. It's not like, you know, unless you've got really certain close friends would do a lot, but it's almost as if we are each our own little isolated unit, almost like frenemies, right? And when you're a flerfer, there's a lot of people that just get tickled pink by seeing you fail miserably. And so, you know, I just think that we could take a lesson from the Vatos. And honestly, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, you've heard the old adage that it takes a village to raise a child. There's a lot of people out here in the world that are trying to raise a family on their own, like single moms, single dads, and they've got kids in the house. They're trying to pay bills. They're trying to make ends meet. Our dollars are just getting less and less valuable as the days go by, but the prices of everything's going up. And there's people, a lot of good, decent, hardworking people that are just falling by the wayside every day. And it's sad because I don't think this world was intended to be like that. You know, growing up in America, it is very much a capitalistic society. And so me personally, I've never been much of a capitalist, but you know, the money system itself is a big scam. Like, you know, the U.S. dollars are merely notes of debt. They don't hold any intrinsic inherent value. It's a scam designed to siphon wealth away from us regular people and into the pockets of the already rich. And so, you know, the cards are stacked against us, especially, you know, united we stand and divided we fall. When we're all divided and pitted against one another and seemingly like in competition against one another, we're fucked, dude. Like I believe that we need to somehow come together. And I'm not talking about like, you know, a commune or something like that, but I really just think that if we want to make it through, say, the next 20 years, we don't want to do it with our asses in the wind, bro. Like with our heads buried in the sand and the asses in the wind. I really think that we need to somehow come together and not just as an online sort of virtual community, like a cloud community, but an actual nuts and bolts, grassroots, salt of the earth sort of community. And I think if anybody could do something like that, it's flerfers, because I'm sorry to say we're just a different breed, and not because there's anything inherently different from us, but once you come to the realization about flat Earth, it unlocks something within you that wakes you up it gives you new eyes to view the world through, and we can see the deceptions, we can see the injustices. And we understand that there is a creator. Like, we didn't evolve from, you know, rocks and pickles, cousins, and all that. That's nonsense, man. And once you realize flat Earth, we do sort of have an inherent bond. We have something in common that nobody else in the world seems to understand, and they actually hate your guts for it. So I really do think that we've got to stick together, and it is a sad, cold world by yourself. So yeah, nobody knows everything, of course not, but I damn sure know that the earth isn't a spinning ball, and that everybody has been deceived by what can only be described as a grand delusion that has fooled the entire world. So there's people suffering. You know, shout out to Woody, shout out to Bella, and even shout out to David up in Illinois, man. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he's going through some stuff to where his family just hates his guts, and he's not like losing his ass or anything, but it was just a weird story. Like, so what happened with David was I had been going back and forth from him, and one day I got a text from a number that I didn't recognize, and it said something along the lines of, oh, hey, check out this picture. And I didn't get the picture because my phone sometimes has issues with downloading multimedia attachments or whatever. And so I replied and I said, well, who's this? I don't recognize your number. And he said, well, it's Dan and the last name. And I said, oh, you mean Dave? I thought it was like a typo. And he said, no, I'm Dan. This is his brother. And I said, oh, okay. Well, and so I like told him, well, you got the wrong number, da da da. I thought it was kind of weird because I didn't even know the dude had a brother, and I didn't understand how he got my number. But so I saved his number in my phone immediately when he told me who it was, right? Well, so like a month later, I get a call from Dave, who's already sort of kind of paranoid. Like, and again, we flerfers can tend to be a little bit on the paranoid side just because, well, you know, when you've been freaking burned and lied to so many times, and especially when your family sometimes seems to be gaslighting you, which very well may be the case with him, you start to lose trust and you start to get a little bit paranoid, right? So anyway, like a month went by, and Dave texted me this text conversation, and he asked me, like, why was I in contact with his brother? And I'm like, what do you mean? And so he told me about the text, and I said, oh, right. I had kind of forgotten about it. It had been a couple weeks. So I said, yeah, he texted me, and I kind of reiterated what had happened. But long story short, Dave was basically, he was like, he thought that I was colluding with his brother to gaslight him. And so I explained to him, no, like that was the one and only time I ever had communication with your brother was over text, and he texted me. And, you know, I thought it was kind of weird. Like, I didn't know how he got my number, but so so I forwarded him the text message conversation to show him that, like, no, I didn't even know who this dude was at first. I thought it was you. And when I forwarded him the text conversation, his brother's name showed up on my screenshot instead of his brother's number. Because, of course, at that point, I had saved his brother's contact information in as Dan, Dave's brother. Well, so Dave is kind of an older guy, and he's not really technologically savvy, not even in the slightest bit. But so he sort of automatically thought that there was his evidence that I was colluding with his brother, because clearly I had his contact information saved in my phone. But of course, he didn't understand that it was only after that initial text that I had gotten that I saved his brother's number in my phone as Dan, Dave's brother, because I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Anyway, I haven't talked to Dave since. Like, Dave thinks that I'm colluding with his brother and his family or whatever, for whatever reason, I don't know. He never would tell me the whole details of the gaslighting thing, but look, so what my point is, though, family can get you into trouble, man. Family can be a real motherfucker, especially when you're a flat earther, man. My family is no different. Like, one of my family members literally stole my identity and sold it to Venezuelan drug dealers for $10,000 and didn't even break me off on it. Okay, never even told me. I ended up figuring this out over time. I mean, I knew it when my social security card and ID and birth certificate were stolen. Like, I figured that out pretty quick, but I never thought that this would have happened. Like, it took a while. And when I realized it, it's like, yeah, well, of course, it makes perfect sense. Of course he would do that. But yeah, family will mess you up. And really, so really now it's like our family is flerfers. Like, that's all we've got. We're all we've got, man. And like, if you're counting on maybe one day your family coming around and seeing the light, like, maybe, like, there's always hope, there's always faith, there's definitely power in faith, but don't hold your breath, because it might never happen. And as much as we care about our families, and as much as we want to share this revelation with them and take them on this beautiful journey that is flat earth knowledge, sometimes you're just barking up the wrong tree. Like, sometimes people just have eyes but don't see, have ears but don't hear, and they've got tongues but nothing comes out of them but babble, right? And like, you can't fight them on it. You can't force them down this path. Like, you can tell them the truth, you can show them the evidence, but if they're blind, deaf, and dumb, there's really not a whole lot you can do but just give them time and wipe the dust from your feet, man, really, because you'll drain yourself of energy. You'll drain yourself of potential love for your brothers and sisters in the future, because you just get so damn frustrated with people who are just freaking stiff-necked and seemingly like purposefully obtuse sometimes. But again, you can't blame them. We were all there at one point. And it is a shame, but this is a grand delusion. This is, in my opinion, it's the great deception. And so, like, once that deception has taken hold, it's really up to the individual and up to God to snap them out of it. And I think that we have a chance, but there's a lot of insidious shit that's behind this deception. I think one of the big ones is the fluoride in the water thing, man. It's a developmental neurotoxin that makes people much easier to mind control, makes them more docile, less prone to fight back against deceptions and and oppression. And so it's almost as if people have been chemically neutered in a way. Well, not chemically neutered, but of the psychological variety. And I think that's very much true. And the sad thing is like there's tons of people all over the country that really want them to stop poisoning our water with sodium fluoride, and yet they won't stop. Like you really have to either get on well water or maybe get like a reverse osmosis water filtration system in your house. But it's a very insidious deception indeed. The infinite space ball earth portion of this deception is definitely a linchpin. And so once a person gets this one, all the other shit sort of falls apart. So it is key. And that's why like they're never going to let this go. When I say they, I mean like the alphabets and the Googles and the YouTubes and the NASAs. They're never going to let it go. They are going to double down on ball earth until the end of time. Okay. Which might not be that far off, to tell you the truth. So you've got the whole thing with nuclear bombs. I'll touch on this quick. If I was Israel, I'd be very careful setting foot into Gaza, because as much as I don't believe in nuclear bombs, I do believe in hundreds of tons of TNT being stockpiled in one place and then detonated, being the equivalent of a megaton or several megaton nuclear bomb. And these globetards, the powers that be, really want to reintroduce the nuclear bomb agenda into the public mind, right? So there's a lot of people that just simply don't believe in nukes anymore because it is propaganda. Like there is no sort of suitcase bomb that's going to destroy a whole city. That's Narnia. It's nonsense. It's bullshit. But if they can pull off something like that and get rid of the Israeli army, which is one of the last sort of, the last bastions of Western mindset in the Middle East, if they can get rid of them in one fell swoop and reignite the belief in nukes world over, I'm just saying, man, be careful of that. It's something that I would not put past them. And so definitely prayers go up to both sides of that, especially for the Palestinians, man. They've been getting pummeled for over a week now, like 10 days now. Hamas did some nasty things and that was unforgivable, but I don't think that the innocent men, women, and children had anything to do with that. And that hospital that just got laid out to ashes, I guess it was yesterday, definitely seems like an airstrike to me. I don't care what anybody says. I saw the tape and it definitely seems like an Israeli airstrike did that, but whatever. Another thing, like what's up with the real estate, man? Like I've never had such trouble finding a place to live as I have these last few years. It's changed. Like it used to be you could, if you're in a pinch, you could rent a place like either a little one bedroom or an efficiency apartment or even like a little shitty trailer or something for relatively cheap without going through all the rigmarole, the red tape, the background checks, the deposits. Like they would be keen to work with you as long as you seemed decent and had some money to put down. Not anymore. It's a different landscape, and it's like I understand why there's lots of families, lots of decent people that just wind up throwing their hands up and going and living in a damn, in a van down by the river, which honestly, we're not too far from that either. I mean, y'all know where I'm at. We've been in this hotel now going on since right at the beginning of August. And with the dog fee, it's $500 a week, man. And we can't afford this, but it's all we got. So we're trying to hang on to it. And like Friday might be the day, man. Unless I can come up with another miracle, we're going to be out on our ass as of Friday. So real estate has changed. Like it's something that, if you've owned your own house for a long time and you've got equity and credit, like it probably hasn't affected you very much. But if they switch the banks over to digital dollars and basically wipe out people's savings in 401ks overnight, and then there's a whole nother bubble in the housing market that bursts, and all kinds of bubbles burst, people are going to feel it. And I think that that really the only way that we have to avoid this sort of catastrophic failure of our society is the truth. Like the truth is something that changes us from within, and like we need to somehow reach a critical mass with this thing so that we prevent the entire society from careening off a fucking cliff, right? And that's where we're headed, like in so many different directions. Like society is just dead set on careening off all these fucking cliffs, right? Excuse my language. The specialist says, Jeremiah 10:3-4:3, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. Yeah. Right, the whole Christmas tree thing, right? But no, I think there is something to say for manual labor, because we all kind of see the writing on the wall where everything is going to be going over to AI. Like within the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to lose our jobs. Like, you know, the whole joke that took our jobs, the whole South Park thing. It's not really a laughing matter. I mean, what I see is going to happen is pretty much overnight, we're going to lose the long haul and short haul truck driving industry overnight. And that's a full 1% of the US population is truck drivers. So when that goes, then you've got 99% left. Well, anything that isn't like direct manual labor, so like digging trenches or like picking fruits or, you know, construction will probably hang on for a while, but things like graphic design, film editing, music, I mean, just if it is a intellectual sort of endeavor, even like passing the bar for the lawyers or doctors, AI can do it better already. Like AI can do it better, and it's only going to get exponentially better. And you've got even people like Elon Musk, love him or hate him, saying things like AI is basically a demon that we're summoning. And then, of course, he suggests that, you know, you plug the thing directly into your brain. So I don't know about Elon. Like, he's definitely double speaking there just a little bit, isn't he? But yeah, man, I really just, long and short of it, I think that we as truthers, as flerfers, we need to come together as one. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I definitely want to be a part of it. And, you know, me personally, I'm a team player. I'm a jack of all trades. I know a little bit about a lot. You know, my passion is as a musician, but I like to do hands-on things. Ever since I was hit by a car on my motorcycle back in 2014, my back and my shoulder has been really messed up, so I can't do a lot of the stuff that I used to do. Like, I'm not a young buck anymore, and like, you know, I'm not a crippled by any stretch of the imagination, but like that's as far as I can raise my hand. And sometimes if I bend over, like to go pick something up, I can't straighten my back out. Like I've got problems with my back. When that car hit me on my motorcycle back in 2014, I was wearing a leather jacket, luckily, because when I hit the ground and rolled, it ripped the entire arm off of the leather jacket. It's like 3 layers thick, just ripped the arm of it right off. So like, luckily it was cold and raining that day, or that would have been my arm. I was also wearing a full face mask. So when I broke the dude's windshield that ran the red light, like it only just hurt a little bit. It didn't fucking kill me. So, you know, praise be to God for that sort of thing. Like I really do count my blessings, but at the same time, like I think it was because of that I was put on the path towards where I'm at now. Like, so sometimes, you know, sometimes the emergencies or like when we feel like we got dealt a bad hand, it was actually the Most High putting us on course that we need to be. So I always, you know, I try to find the blessings in everything, but it's scary, man. Um, I think one of the reasons that we are in so much trouble as a society is everybody puts their faith in money. Um, whether you're a doctor or a bank robber, at the end of the day, you're doing what you're doing for money. It's just kind of weird to me that a doctor goes to work presumably to save lives and to enrich people's lives and to heal the sick. And the bank robber goes to maybe shoot people if he has to and steal money. But at the end of the day, it's all for the same thing. It's for this money that is a spell. I mean, it's sigil magic. I mean, look at the dollars, man. It is literally sigil magic. It's worthless paper. It's a debt note. It is nothing. It has no value. But the only reason that money actually has value is because people have faith in its value. So it is a very interesting sort of trick that they've pulled. But, I try to put my faith in the creator of all things, the one that created our spirits, the one that, knows the count of the hairs on your head, and not in the money of man. But they've created a situation in this world where you sort of have to play their game. You've got to play with their monopoly money in order to, for me to sit here and do this stream. The only reason I'm able to do that is because I hand the hotel their $500 every week to do this sort of thing, right? So you can't get away from it. But I think if we were to say come together in a situation where, we could plant our own crops and have livestock and build things for ourselves. Maybe take a page from the people over there in the Ozark Plateau. I think that we could really do a lot of fantastic things and have a blast doing it without any money. Like very little money is needed if you have a village of people to support each other. You know what I mean? And I think there's something to be said for that. And that's why I believe this government has made it illegal for us to even like own a chicken or plant a crop in your front yard usually, or damn sure you can't have a cow, right? So they've put laws stacked against us to make sure that we do not become self-sufficient. And that's evil, man. That's insidious. And really, I sort of understand that the only reason that they've been able to get away with it for so long is because everybody's walking around deceived to their freaking gills. It is literal slavery. And they don't use, whips and chains. It's not slavery of whips and chains. It's whips and chains of the mind. When we're having to slave all day long and put our hearts and souls into just making it, into bare necessities like food, shelter, and clothing, it doesn't leave much time for anything else. So they really do have us by the balls. And I firmly believe that the only way we're going to overcome that sort of thing is if we form some kind of a union. I don't see why we don't do something like that. I'm all for it. I am tired of this rat race. I'm tired of participating in a system that is the main tool of our enslavement, which is like the US dollar and all of the deceptions that go along with public education and NASA and the for-profit medical industry. Like, I could tell you two big-time cures right now. I could tell you a big-time cure for cancer that just wipes out cancer quick, doesn't even hardly cost anything. And I could tell you cures for pretty much everything else. It's two different things. One thing's for cancer, and the other thing is for practically everything else, from malaria to MRSA and everything in between. Like the stuff that they say is incurable, there's a cure for it. The problem is, if I tell you this right now on this stream, then I'm liable to get my YouTube channel totally stricken. So I got a permanent strike on my channel a few years ago for talking about one of these things. I did a video about one of these things, and YouTube took it down and gave me a permanent strike. Basically, even though, I said on the thing, hey, I'm not a doctor, I'm not trying to give medical advice, this is just my personal testimonial and the testimonials of others. They took the video down and gave me a strike saying if I ever did that again, they would delete my channel permanently and I would have no process of appeal. So I can't tell you. I've told a lot of you guys about these two things, but they're natural. They're so cheap, they're practically free. If anybody out there watching, or if you see this, and if you know anybody that is suffering from cancer, definitely get in touch with me. I'll tell you on the phone. I'll tell you all about it. If you're one of the people that worries about things like viruses or bacterial infections or autoimmune deficiencies like HIV/AIDS or lupus and those sorts of things, get in touch with me. I feel very strongly about these two things, and I know that they work. I've seen them work firsthand myself and people that I know. These are cures. They're definitely cures. But the problem is that the for-profit medical industry has a monopoly on healing. And of course, they're not really so much interested in healing people. They are more interested in prolonging and perpetuating disease, treating symptoms, because it is very lucrative when people, go to the doctor and their insurance pays gobs and gobs of money for shit that doesn't really do them any good. But it just goes on and on. I mean, where does it end? You've got the for-profit prison industry where, thank God, finally, it's like pot is becoming less and less criminal. But still in a lot of states, you can still lose your ass for just possession of pot. The for-profit prison industry is a scam. The for-profit medical industry is a scam. The money's a scam. And it just goes on and on. They're poisoning our freaking water, and there's nothing we can do to stop them, really. I mean, it is disheartening. And I think that the only way that we as a society of truthers are ever going to make it into the future is if we really band together and stick together. And so I'm all for it, man. Most of us have definitely been alienated from our family and friends, and myself certainly notwithstanding. And so it's a shame and it's sad, but the ancient prophets warned us of this. They said that there's going to be things like the houses will be divided by the truth. But I can just attest that stand up for what you know to be right. Stand up for the truth. Lay down your life for your brothers or your sisters, and you will be rewarded. I can't prove that sort of thing to you, but I'll attest to the fact. We got to stick together, man. So, and fuck some NASA too, by the way, right? So I think that covers everything I wanted to cover right at an hour and a half. So let me just check on the chat real quick here. You guys have been very talkative. A lot of stuff here. Jane Doe says, hey, the Morgile, Vicks Vapo Rub can work wonders. Rub it in pain areas and on other side of the body. Sometimes 3 times can be necessary. Yeah, I've used Vicks before. I've got nerve damage in my spine and in my shoulders and in my lower back. So like what happened was I was riding my bike through a green light. It was green, not going that fast, maybe like 25, because it was not residential, but it was a 25-mile-an-hour zone. And just cruising through the green light, and dude came to like do right on red coming out of a Food Lion. This was in Greenville, South Carolina. And instead of stopping to turn right on red, he just blew through it and did the right. And like, I'm going through the light. He didn't see me, and I like avoided him. Like, oh my God, I thought that dude was gonna hit me. And as soon as the thought crossed my mind, oh, I thought that dude was gonna hit me, then he hit me. He like clipped my back tire somehow, and I went all wonky. And then I looked over my shoulder, and the next thing I know, my face hit his windshield, and I could see in his car, he was looking down, fucking with his phone. It scared the shit out of him. So I was like, haha, I scared you. Not really, I wasn't laughing. And then I rolled narrowly avoided getting run over by his tire, narrowly avoided getting hit by oncoming traffic on the other side. Honestly, I'm not even sure how I avoided the car. It was almost like the car went like right by me or right through me. It was very close. And I rolled a bit, and then I tried to stand up, and then I passed out. And I won't get into the whole story, but then I woke up in the ambulance, passed back out again, woke up in the hospital. But so like it messed up my back. I'm lucky to be alive. It could have been way worse. Luckily it was cold and raining that day, but yeah, so I was wearing like a full face mask, helmet, leather jacket, a couple pairs of pants. So I was very lucky. But it just goes to show you, people say all the time things like, well, you better quit smoking and you better, slow down and live your life a little slower or whatever. But you can do everything perfectly right. You can follow all the rules. You can do everything by the book and then get killed in a freaking car accident. So live each day like it may be your last is what I say. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to wrap this one up, right, y'all? If you want to help support the channel, I'll put links in the description down below for PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, all those. I've also got crypto links for Bitcoin and Ethereum down there. Definitely hit me up by email or by phone. Just send me a text if you would like information on the medical stuff I was telling you about. Again, I'm not gonna say it here because I don't want my channel taken down, but just hit me up. 864-315-7892, or you can email me at themorguile@gmail is a good one. So that about wraps it up. Thanks, guys, for hanging. I've got a bunch of good content in the works. I'm working on a mud flood video where we're going to be dealing with the standard history of Chicago. So it's a good one, a lot of information to cover and a lot of eyebrow raisers, and I think y'all will enjoy it. It runs the gambit, the whole nine. It's got the orphanages, the crazy trains, the orphan trains, the asylums. It's got the, billion-dollar banks and post offices back in the 1800s. So it's a good one. I think y'all will like it. And hopefully I will be able to keep my place to live beyond Friday. We shall see. So definitely help out if you can. Don't break the bank. Don't take food off your table. And I will let you all know how it goes. Love you guys very much and see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Bye.